The first question is the Nayar movement was led by whom? The first option A. Sri Narayana Guru. Second option Dr. T. M. Nayar, P. Tyagaraya Chetty, and C. N. Mudaliar. The option C is a C. V. Raman Pillai, K. Ramakrishna Pillai, and N. Padmanabha Pillai. Option D. E. V. Ramasamy Nayakar. The correct option is option C. Because it is a full and full factual question, you can eliminate answer A and D easily because we all know that familiar with the fact that is Sri Narayana Guru leads the SNDP movement, Sri Narayana Guru Dharma Paripalan movement. Then E.V. Ramaswamy Nayakar started the movement called Self-Respect Movement. Therefore, option B and C will be the confusing one. So option B, that is Dr. T. M. Nair and P. Tyagaraya Chetty and C. N. Mudaliar will be the founders of Justice Party. Therefore, option C is correct. The purpose of Nair movement is that it was actually happened in Travancore state. The Nair people were discriminated by the Brahmins because Nair people were appointed in high post that is equal to Brahmins. So they led the movement. So this was the purpose of the movement. The other movements are that is Satya Sodak Samaj was founded by Jyotiba Phule. Then Arivipuram movement is also led by Sri Narayana Guru for the temple entry. Then we all know that Justice Party was lead for the representation of scheduled caste. Then Nayar movement for the that is Brahmin that is Brahmin domination. That is against the Brahmin domination. They have lead the Nayar movement. Then self-respect movement by Ramaswamy Nayakar. Then Nadar movement by the untouchable Shanas who imitated the Kshatriya customs. So to emerge as the Nadas. So it also happened in Tamil Nadu. Then Mahar movement, we are all familiar with this movement. That is, we led the B.R. Ambedkar. The purpose of this movement is to assess the public water tanks by the Mahar class. Yes. The next question is, which of the following events not takes place under, that is not took place under Lord Ripon? The first, repeal of the Vernacular Press Act, the first Factories Act, the second Afghan War, then the Arms Act. This is also a factual question. That is, Governor Generals have to be familiar with the Governor Generals and what are the happenings, that is, political events happened around in their period. So, second Afghan War and the Arms Act will not happen under the Lord Ripon. So the option is 3 and 4 is the correct answer. If you are familiar with this fact, that is Arms Act will not come, that is year is 1878, that is it will come under Lytton. You can eliminate all the options, that is B, C, D. That is that is you can choose, that is you can eliminate one option, that is 1 and 2. You are having the that is 3 rest, that is B, C, D options. Okay. Then 3, repeal of the Vernacular Press Act. That is a repeal, if you are familiar with the fact, that is a repeal of the Vernacular Press Act and the first Factories Act takes place in Lord Ripon, automatically you will end up with answer 1, C and 4. Okay, well, so these two events will happen under the Governor General, that is Lytton. Yes, Lytton, that is Viceroy's General's period is 1876 to 1880. In that period, famine 1876 to 78 has taken place and affect many parts. Then famine commission is also appointed under Richard Strachey to study the effects of famine. Then Royal Titles Act were also proposed. Then Vernacular Press Act. What is meant by Vernacular Press Act in the sense that is they have to be if they publish against the English government. the press will be confiscated by the and the press and the land property will be confiscated by the British. And this was the Vernacular Press Act. It was to suppress the Indian national movement. Then Arms Act and Second Afghan War, and both these are the statements which are these are the events which will happen under the Lord Lytton. Then in Lord Ripon period, he was called as father of local self-government. So every period la பார்த்தோம் அப்படின்னா that is repeal of the Vernacular Press Act, that is 1882, and first Factories Act to improve the labor conditions. So he was one of the that is Governor General, which which was very concerned about our Indian people's welfare. Okay. So if that's comparatively to others, he was very that is concerned about our Indian people's welfare. So continuation of financial decentralization, that is giving importance to local provinces. Then government resolution on local self-government. Local Boards Act was also passed in his period. Then appointment of Education Commission under the chairmanship of William Hunter, then Ilbert Bill controversy, then rendition of Mysore. These were the events have taken place under Lord Ripon. Yes, we will move on to the next question. Consider the following statements regarding the Wahhabi movement. So Wahhabi movement. The first statement is the Wahhabi movement was essentially an Islamic revivalist movement founded by Syed Ahmed of Raebareli. Yes, the key word is Syed Ahmed of Raebareli, Islamic revivalist. Then in the second option, that is the Wahhabis played an important role in spreading pro-British sentiments. So the important word is pro-British sentiments. Now, what is the question? Which of the following statements given above are correct? Yes, we will check the first statement. The Wahhabi movement was essentially an Islamic revivalist. Yes, it is an Islamic revivalist movement founded by Syed Ahmed of Raebareli. Okay, yes, the first option is correct. The second option, that is, the Wahhabis played an important role in spreading pro-British sentiments. Yes, it is wrong. It is anti-British sentiments. Okay, so from that we can eliminate that is 2 is wrong, therefore both 1 and 2 correct, 1 is correct, so option will be the A. So let me see the explanation. That is Wahhabi movement was founded by Raebareli in the year, that is 17 teachings of Abdul Wahab, it is 1703 to 1787, teachings of Saudi Arabia and Shah Waliullah of Delhi. That is, this movement was inspired by their teachings. Okay, Abdul Wahab and Shah Waliullah of Delhi. Then Syed Ahmed condemned the Western influence of Islam and advocated the return to pure Islamic movement. So it is called revivalist. Then Syed Ahmad was acclaimed as the desire leader. That is, they will propose the leader. That is, they will call the leader as Imam, and a countrywide organization with an elaborate secret code for its working under spiritual vice-regents caliphate was set up, and Sitana in the northwestern tribal belt was chosen for operations. This is the most important place. Then, since Darul Harb, that is territory of war or chaos, was to be considered into Darul Islam. So their pure aim was to consider, that is transform into their, convert the land into their Islam. So they started jihad. That is, what is meant by jihad means it is a sacred war against the Sikh kingdom of Punjab. Then, after the defeat of the Sikh ruler and incorporation of Punjab into East India Company's dominion in 1849, the English dominion in India became that is the sole target of the Wahhabis attack. Actually, initially they were against that is Sikhs, but when it is captured by English, anti-British sentiments. Hence, the statement 2 is incorrect. Then we will move to the next question. Consider the following statements regarding tribal movements. The first statement, generally the tribals which share tribal and cultural links with the countries across the border did not concern themselves much with the nationalist struggle. Then, did not concern themselves is the keyword. The frontier tribal revolts under the British continued for a long time than the non-frontier tribal movements. Then the Sanskritization movements were almost totally absent in the northeast frontier region in the colonial period. Which of the statements are correct? So the options are 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 1 and 3, and 1, 2, 1, 3. The answer is B. That is, all the statements are correct because the movement of the tribes of northeastern frontiers were different. Okay, so the different in many aspects, because for one thing, because tribals will not at that time did not much concern about themselves about the national struggle. That is, they were not aware of any nationalist movement. They simply thought that they were trading and they were gaining money. So the British people were simply literally they were interfering in their cultural links. Okay, so their revolts were often favor of fundamental political autonomy within the Indian Union or complete independence. Their aim was to don't interfere in our culture or any other economical events. We will lead our own life. So for that purpose only they were leading the revolt against the British. Yes, they were not aware of the national struggle and they don't want to interfere in their culture also. So the frontier tribal revolts under the British continued for a longer time. Yes. The secondly, they were not forest-based or agrarian revolts, as these tribals were generally in control of on the land and forest area. Yes, we all know that. For example, Santal rebellion, they were all live in the jungle areas only. For example, I'm saying, so that is frontier tribal. That is frontier tribal events were usually occurred in the parts of then that is Punjab, that area. Okay, so the British entered the northeastern areas and are much later than the non-frontier tribal areas. So this was the reason. That is, it took that is the frontier tribal movements under the British continued for the long time. Okay, then. Thirdly, the frontier tribal revolts under the British continued for the long time than the non-frontiers because they were concentrating in the Assam region. The desanskritization movements were also spread among the frontier tribals because in northeast, most of the people's population belongs to Christianity. They organized a movement during Church and Maharaja's rule between 1819 and 1941 to denounce the malpractices of neo-Vaishnavite Brahmins. These British people have converted many of the tribal peoples into Christian people. For example, at present day, Nagaland has high percentage of Christian population. So the Sanskritization movements were almost absent in the northeast frontier region. Okay, so that is all the statements were correct. Yes, the causes that is tribal peoples have did not much concerns about the national struggle. The frontier tribal movements that is continued for a long time. That is for example, we will take it this Assam itself. Then the Sanskritization movements were almost totally absent in the that is the northeast frontier region because the Christianity have spread. This is the reason. Yes, because another example is this non-frontier tribal movements. For example, is the Santal rebellion. That is, the British suppressed it within a month. Oh, okay, so but all other revolts they have suppressed it in a short time. Then the frontier tribal revolts only they are taking for a long time to suppress. Now, the next question, consider the following statements. That is, Bankim Chandra Chatterjee wrote the novel Rajasimha. Aicharam Suryaram Desai wrote the novel Hind and Britannia. G.V. Krishna Rao wrote the novel Balyakala Sakhi. Yes, it is an absolute factual question. Which of the following statements given are correct? The correct statement, the correct answer is A, because in what is wrong in the third statement is that is not G.V. Krishna Rao wrote the novel Balyakala Sakhi, it is Bashir. Yes, it is Bashir who wrote the Balyakala Sakhi. Then the other novels are, that is Bengali novelist, that is Bankim Chandra Chatterjee was a Bengali novelist. His novels were the best known and best known among that time. The important were Anand Meth. Then he was noted for its powerful relic Vande Mataram, and his last novel was Rajasimha. So this novel has made him at last his career to be his remarkable career. Then Aicharam Suryaram Desai was a fine scholar of medieval Gujarati literary history. So he belongs to Gujarati. His first novel was Hindi and Britannia. Okay, then other that is contemporary writers during their period were, that is Girija Devi and Rama Tirthamal from Tamil, who wrote, that is Girija Devi wrote Mohana Rajani, and Rama Tirthamal wrote, that is Dasigalin Mosavalai. Then G.V. Krishnarao wrote Heelu Bomalu, okay, the puppets, that is 1956 in Telugu. Then the Muhammad Bashir, Baiko Muhammad Bashir wrote, that is Balyakala Sahi, that is Childhood Friends in 1944. Hence the statement 3 is incorrect. Similarly, Takkali Shivashankaram Pillai, that is a noted writer in Malayalam, also wrote The Son of a Scavenger 1948 and Chemmin, that is Shrimps 1956. These were the most popular writers during the period of 1800s to 1900s. Yes, the next question. Consider the following statements regarding the Koya revolt. So this is tribal revolt. So it was led by Chakra Biswai is the first statement. Their complaints were oppression by police and moneylenders, new regulations and denial of their customary rights over forest areas. Which of the following statements are correct? That is one only, two only, both one and two, neither one or two. So the option is, that is B, because the that is led by Chakra Biswai is the wrong. It was led by Thomasara. Yes, Dhammasara, and another rebellion was led by Anantayar. Usually, the characteristics of tribal revolts will be first. The reason for that is because the British will either capture their lands, then other hand they will be indebted position. They are unable to pay their money to their money lenders. Then for the other reason, they are that is interfere. The British were interfering in their interfere their in their events, that is culturally. Okay, so these were the that is characteristics of tribal revolts. Then what was the small explanation behind this was that that is Chakra Bisoi lead the Konde revolts. The Konde revolts that took place in the year 1837 to 1856. So from 1837 to 1856, the cones of the hilly tracts extending from Odisha to the Srikakulam and Visakhapatnam districts of Andhra Pradesh. So where it was happened, it from extending from Odisha, so from Odisha to Andhra Pradesh, from here to here region. Okay. Then the Leidikons, who are joined by the Gumsar, Kalahandi, and other tribals, oppose the suppression of human sacrifices, that is, new taxes and entry of Zamindar into areas. So, what was the cause of the revolt? Is that is suppression of human sacrifice, then new taxes, and entry of Zamindar. Chakra Bezos disappears, the uprising came to an end. So that is sacrifice, that is suppression of human sacrifice is interfering in their culturally. The new taxes and entry of zamindars were the economical causes. Yes. Then Koya revolts. So Koya revolts of the Eastern Godavari tract, where it was happened. Eastern Godavari tract is joined by Konda Sara chiefs rebelled in these following years. Then they rose once again in 1879 to 90 under Thomasara. Their complaints were oppression by police and moneylenders. Then new regulations, that is denial of their customary rights over forest areas. After the death of Thomasara, then it was led by Rajanatayar. Okay, so statement one is incorrect. Let's move on to the next question. Consider the following statements regarding the Alfonso de Albuquerque. An interesting feature of this rule was the abolition of sati. This is the important one. Then under Albuquerque, the permit system for other ships was introduced. Which of the following given statements are correct? The options are one only, two only, both one and two. That is neither one nor two. Correct answer is C. That is both one and two, because he was the real founder of Portuguese Empire. Real founder of Portuguese. The first governor was Francisco de Almeida. Next was, that is Albuquerque. He was well-known Portuguese administrator. Because he was a real founder of Portuguese Empire, he secured for Portugal the strategic control of Indian Ocean. That is, his aim was to establish the that is bases. Okay, to establish the bases in Indian Ocean, overlooking all the entrances to the sea. That is, the main aim was to master the Indian Ocean. But this policy was first proposed by FDA itself. That is, they will call it as blue water policy. He is just that is accepting that policy and implementing it. Then there were Portuguese strongholds in East Africa, that is of the Red Sea at Hormuz, Malabar, and Malacca. Then the non-availability of timber in the Gulf and Red Sea regions for shipbuilding also helped us to look for their objectives. Then, what are the other events that happened during the Albuquerque? Is that they acquired Goa from the Sultan of Bijapur in 1510. Okay, so the principal port of the Sultan of Bijapur became the first bit of Indian territory, the first territory to be under the Europeans since the time of Alexander the Great. After the Alexander the Great, the Sultan of Bijapur was the first territory to be annexed by the on the whole as a foreign rule. Okay, interesting feature was the abolition of sati. Then he also introduced the new plantation varieties such as coconut, potato, and all he has introduced. Then he also laid in roads and little bit concern about sanitation. So these were the that is interesting that is features of this of his rule. So both the state event, which aftermath leads to the political and administrative changes. So the revolt began at Meerut, where Mangal Pandey fired at the sergeant major of his unit was the first statement. The White Mutiny was also cause for the faster spread of 1857 revolt. So which of the following statements are correct? The one only, two only, both one and two, neither one nor two. So the option is D, because none is the answer. The revolt first began at Barakpur. It's not in Meerut. Later on, it will spread to Meerut and Meerut to Delhi. Okay. Then the White Mutiny was also a cause for the faster spread of 1857 revolts. White Mutiny will cause after 1857 revolt. That is after, especially after Queen Victoria's proclamation. We will see the explanation, because the revolt began at, yes, it was began at Meerut, but the Mangal Pandey was from Barakpur. Okay. Began at Meerut, the 58-kilometer from Delhi, that is May 10, 1857, and then gathering force rapidly soon embraced a vast area from the Punjab in the north and Narmada in the south, and Consider the following statements regarding the revolt of 1857. That is, revolt begins at Meerut, where Mangal Pandey fired at the sergeant major of his unit. White Mutiny was also a faster spread of 1857 revolt. Which of the following statements are correct? That is, one only, two only, both one and two, neither one nor two, because it is none. That is why the first statement is wrong is because that is Mangal Pandey from Barakpur, not at Meerut. Okay, then white mutiny was that is will spread that is after 1857 revolt. Okay, then let's see the explanation. Because the revolt will begin at Meerut, that is 58 kilometer from Delhi on May 10, 1857, and then it will soon spread to Punjab, then Narmada and East Rajputana. Even before the Meerut incident, there were a number of incidents taking place. That is, the 19th Native Infantry of Behrampur, West Bengal, refused to use the Enfield rifle, and this was the immediate cause of the mutiny. And the young sepoy of 34th Native Infantry, that is Mangal Pandey, fired at the sergeant major of his unit at Barakpur and not at Meerut. Hence, the statement 1 is incorrect. Then he was overpowered and executed on April 8, while his regiment was disbanded in May. Okay, the 7th Awadh Regiment, that is which defied its officers on May, met with a similar fate. So that is White Mutiny. White Mutiny is nothing but it is a revolt by British officers against canning. Okay, when they know about that, they will come directly under the administration of that is crown, that is Queen Victoria. They started revolting against the that is canning, against the officer canning. So this is the aftermath of, it will take aftermath of 1857, and not during the revolt of 1857. It was not the cause. It's a faster spread of 1857 revolt will be Enfield rifle, and that is filled with pig and cow fats. So it literally affects the cultural sentiments of Hindus and Muslims. So it was the immediate cause that leads to the revolt of 1857. We will move on to next question. That is, who among the following are founding members of All India Women Conference? Yes, this will come under that is role of women in freedom struggle. So this options are Maharani Chimnabai Gaekwad, Sarojini Naidu, Kamala Devi Chattopadhyay, Lady Dorab Datta. So select the correct answers. That is 1, 2, 3 only, 2, 3, 4 only, 1, 2, 4 only, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the option is that is D. That is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Because the All India Women's Conference was first founded by Margaret Cousins in 1927, was perhaps the first women organization, okay, with an egalitarian approach. Its first conference was held in Ferguson College, Pune. So the important founding members are these people, that is Maharani Chimnabai Gaekwad, Rani Sahiba of Sangli, Sarojini Naidu, Kamala Devi Chattopadhyay, and Lady Dorab Deta. So all the above are correct. Its objective was to work for a society based on principles of social justice, integrity, and equal rights and opportunities, then to secure for every human being essentials of life. Then other that is worked towards, they were working towards other legislative reforms also. That is Sharda Act, Hindu Women Right to Property Act 1937, and Factory Act, Special Marriage Act, then Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act, Suppression of Immoral Trafficking and Women's Act, Maternity Benefits, and Dowry Prohibition Act, Equal Remuneration Acts. So these were the main acts related to women. Apart from these members, that is Muthulakshmi Reddy is also an important member in the All India Women's Conference, and she is from Tamil Nadu. Okay, we will move on to the next question. Consider the following statements regarding the Tipu Sultan. Yes, Tipu Sultan is, we all know that, known as Tiger of Mysore, involving in Anglo-Mysore wars. He wrote a military manual explaining the operation of rockets. Tipu gave his support to the French soldiers at Srirangapatnam in setting up a Jacobean club in 1797. He planted the tree of liberty at Seringamapatnam. Which of the following statements are correct? So 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 1 and 3, 1, 2 and 3. The option, that is the answer will be, all these statements are correct because the Tipu Sultan was born in November 1750 to Hyder Ali and Fatima. He was a very well educated man and very well, that is, he was very fluent in Arabic, Persian, Canaries, and Urdu. Okay, he was known as we all see, that is Tiger of Mysore. He organized the army on the European model and the Persian words of command. So he was a man with more keen and interested towards science and technology, and he was the one who sent the diplomatic missions. So diplomatic missions to France, Turkey, to gain support for him during the struggle. He was aware of the, that is the English European history and the movements takes place during their period. So though he took the help of French officers to train his soldiers, he never allowed them to develop a pressure group. So like his father, Tipu realized the importance of naval force. So he set up a board of admiralty, the first king to set a board of admiralty during that period. So they planned for a fleet of 22 battleships and 20 large frigates. So many, that is, rockets were established Mangalore, Vajidabad, and Moridabad, but these plans were not completely successful. So it's a pattern of science and technology, pioneer in rocket and technology in India. So he wrote military manual. Then he introducing sericulture, that is silkworm. Maybe that was the reason we will say that is Mysore is famous for Mysore silk. So he introduced sericulture. So the Tipu was a great lover of democracy and great diplomat, and he gave his support to the French soldiers at Srirangapatnam to set up a Jacobean club in 1797. So he ordered a salute of 2,300 cannons and 500 rockets to celebrate the occasion. So Tipu himself became the major of Jacobean club and allowed him to be citizen Tipu. So he planted a tree of liberty in Srirangapatnam. So he take part in Third Anglo-Mysore War plus fourth. Okay, so participated in Third Anglo-Mysore War and Fourth Anglo-Mysore War. The Third Anglo-Mysore War ended with the Treaty of Srirangapatnam. Yes, for this question, all the above statements are correct. Let's move on to the next question. Consider the following statements regarding social service league. This will come under social religious reform movements. So the Gopalakrishna Gokhale founded the Social Service League. Okay, it aims to secure for the masses better and reasonable conditions of life and work. Which of these statements given above are correct? So 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. The correct option is answer B, because the Gopalakrishna Gokhale, it's a factual question. The Gopalakrishna Gokhale did not found the, that is the Social Service League. He founded the Servants of Indian Society. And the Social Service League was founded by Narayan Malhar Joshi. Yes, he was a follower of Gokhale. So better conditions in life and work. So hence the statement 1 is incorrect. So they organized many schools, libraries, reading rooms, nurseries, and cooperative societies. Their activities also include police court, agents work, legal aid and advice to the poor, illiterate, excursions for slum dwellers, facilities for gymnasia and theatrical performances. Then they also organized boys clubs and scout corps. So they founded Joshi founded the All India Trade Union Congress in 1920. So the Gopalakrishna Gokhale was the liberal leader of the Indian National Congress, founded the Servants of Indian Society with the help of M.G. Ranade. Its purpose was to train the Indian people to suit for their works. So the next question is, consider the following statements regarding the Sannyasi revolt and Fakir rebellion. That is, equal participation of Hindus and Muslims characterized the uprisings. Devi Chaudharani's participation recognized the women's role in early resistance against the British. Majnun Shah wrote a novel, Devi Chaudharani, as he saw the importance of women taking up the struggle against the alien rule. Which of the following statements are correct? That is 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 1 and 3, 1, 2 and 3. Consider the following statements regarding Sannyasi and Fakir rebellion. That is, equal participation of Hindus and Muslims characterized the uprisings. Devi Chaudharani's participation recognized the women's role in early resistance against the British. Majnun Shah wrote a novel, Devi Chaudharani, as he saw the importance of women taking up the struggle against an alien rule. So, which of the that is statements given above are correct? That is, option is 1 and 2. The answer is that is because the disastrous famine of 1770 and the harsh economic order of the British, they compelled a group of sannyasis to fight against the British. This was the main reason. So it was the prolonged rebellion. Warren Hastings could subdue the sannyasis. So then the equal participations of Hindus and Muslims, that is characteristic the uprisings. So sometimes it also refers to as Fakir rebellion. So these were the most important leaders. So the Devi Chaudharani's participation is recognized the women's role in early resistance against the British. That is Anand Math, that is semi-historical novel by that is Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay is based on Sannyasi revolt. Okay, so he also wrote a novel that is Devi Chaudharani to stress the importance of women in the struggle. Okay, so hence the statement that is 3 is incorrect. Not Majnu Shah, it is Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. The next question is to consider the following statements regarding Paika rebellion. The Pikes of Assam were the traditional landed militia and enjoyed rent-free land tenures for their military service and policing functions on a hereditary basis. That is Pikes of Assam. Traditional landed military were the most important words. Okay, then Karam Shah led this rebellion against the British. The Pike rebellion succeeded in getting large remissions of areas. Which of the following statements are correct? That is 1 only, 1 and 2 only, 3 only, and all the above. So the answer is C. That is 3 only. Because the pikes of that is Odisha, it is not that is Assam. That is it is not Assam. It is Odisha. They were the traditional landed military, that is literally their foot soldiers, then rent-free land tenures for their military service and policing functions. They're providing, that is the policing and military functions, and they were enjoying rent-free lands. This is statement 1 is incorrect, and because they belongs to Odisha. The English East India Company conquest of Odisha in 1803, that is Raja of Kurda was dethroned. So the prestige of and powers of fights were reduced. So this then also they revolted against the prices of salt taxes due to the taxes and abolition of cowrie currency and requirement of payment of taxes in silver were the other reasons for the revolt. So the important leaders were Bakshi Jagabandhu Vidyadhar. Okay, the most important leader was Bakshi Jagabandhu Vidyadhar and not Karam Shah. Okay, so this is wrong. So the first two statements were wrong, and only the 3 is correct. So they were succeeded in getting large remissions of arrears, reduction assessments, and suspension of the sale of estates of defaulters at discretion. So for this question, option 3 is the correct answer. The next question is, which of the following statements is correct with reference to the doctrine of lapse policy? So under this, all Indian princely states could be annexed in the absence of a natural heir. The Awadh was the first princely states to be annexed on the grounds of absence of natural heir. Awadh, first princely state. Then he denied the adopted son the right of succession to personal property of the that is Shaktai. So which of the following statements are correct? The option is none, because that is under the doctrine of lapse policy, which was that is proposed by Dalhousie, that is Indian princely states were provided, that is three options. The first option is they classified the princely states into class 1, class 2 and class 3. Yes, for class 1 and class 2, they have that is British have no right to their adoptions. That is, British can't interfere in their adoptions. For the class 2 princely states, the rulers have to require or consent to assent to adoption, which we have right to refuse. Okay, so the rulers have need the permission of British, that is to adopt the son. So for the statement, that is the doctrine can be used to annex the princely states of class then 2 and 3. Sorry, next one, in the principalities of class 3, that is the one, that is a whole that succession should never be allowed to go by adoption. So the first is the British can't interfere in their adoption. The second is they have to, that is rulers need the assent of the British to adopt. Then the third, that is third type of class of princely states is, that is should never to be allowed to go by adoption. The succession should never be allowed by adoption. So the doctrine is used to annex the princely states of class 2 and 3. Hence, the statement 1 is not correct. Okay. Then why the statement 2 is not correct is because the first state is when there is Awadh was the grounds, not on the grounds of natural health, it is on the grounds of mismanagement. And the first state to be that is adopted was Satara. Okay, hence the statement 2 is not correct. Then why the statement 3 is not correct is it denied the adopted son the right to succession to that is personal property of heir. That is, Dalhousie recognized the right of adopted son to succeed to the that is personal property of the chieftain, but drew a distinctions between the succession to private property and the succession to royal gaddi. So, the royal gaddi in the later case, the sanction of the paramount power must be obtained. Okay, so for royal gaddi, they have to be that is the permission of the British government must be obtained. So the paramount power could refuse the adoption in case of states that is covered by category 2 and 3 and declare that the states having passed back or lapsed to the supreme authority. So that's why the statement 3 is not correct. They have given all the states. If you have denied this option, if you have correct, if you know this option all that is not correct, then you will come end up with the answer none. Okay. Once if you have that is choose the option that is one is incorrect, you can eliminate option A and C. Rest you will come with the options 2, that is B and D option. Then due to Awadh it was noted due to the mismanagement, you can automatically end up with the option that is none. And fifth question, with reference to the life of Rajaram Mohan Rai, which among the following events happened earliest? He is what is also called as Morning Star of Reformation, Herald of New Age. So the options are establishment of Calcutta Unitarian Committee, foundation of Vedanta College in Calcutta, foundation of Brahma Samaj, starting of the newspaper, Sambad Comedy. So option is B is the correct answer. What is the explanation is because he started that is newspaper, that is Sambad Comedy at the earliest time itself. He had the greatest philosophical administration for Vedanta, Islam, Jainism, and Christianity. So he wrote Taful Tuful ut Muadin, that is Gift to Monotheist. Okay, his famous book. Then he was supporting the principles of Upanishad in favor of monotheism. He founded the Atmiya Sabha in 1815. Then discussions on Sati was also taking place in the meetings of Atmiya Sabha. Then his efforts were rewarded by the government, that is 1829, that is abolition of Sati Act. First, he was spreading the that is Western cultures, ideas, and thoughts through his newspaper, that is Sampad Kaumudi. So this was happened at the earliest. Later onwards, he started the Atmi Sabha and Brahma Samaj. So the next question is, consider the following statements regarding the Anglo-Maratha Wars. The first Anglo-Maratha War concluded with the Treaty of Bassein. The famous Bhima-Koregan War took place during the second Anglo-Maratha War. The Pindaris were one of the main factors behind the third Anglo-Maratha War. So which of the following statements are correct? The correct option is option 3. What was wrong in the first statement is it is Treaty of Salbai. The Bhima-Koregan War will not take place during the second Maratha War. It's actually a separate battle. Then the Pindaris were the main factors, and this was the correct option. So the first Maratha War ended with the Treaty of Salbai, that is 1782, and it was takes place during the Warren Hastings period. Okay, and the Marathas that struggled for power between Madhav Rao and Raghunath Rao. Then the second Maratha War, it's the main cause of the second Maratha War was the defeat of Peshwa Bajirao II by the Holkars, and it resulted in the second Maratha War, and that is the Treaty of Bassein was signed by Bajirao II. Okay, so this was the that is cause for the second Maratha War. So in the second Anglo-Maratha War, there is no place for Bhima-Koregan War. Okay, so next the third Maratha War is that third and final phase, that is Lord Hastings period in 1813. That is Pindaris will be play the main role in the third Anglo-Maratha War, because Pindaris transgressed the sovereignty of that is Maratha chiefs, and the two parties were drawn into the that is war. The two main causes is that is third and final conflict between the growing desire of Marathas, that is to get back their lost territories, and excessive control over the Maratha nobles and chiefs. Okay, so these that is Pindaris were the Muslim women, Muslim army that is known for plundering activities. They will be paid for their plundering activities. So the Hastings moves against the Pindaris. The Pindaris were supportive to the Marathas. So as a result, the conflict between English and the Marathas, which leads to the victory of British. So answer 3 is only correct. The next option is to consider the following statements with respect to the Debaga movement. The Debaga movement was led by the sharecroppers of the Punjab region against the oppressive Jotedars. The demand of the movement is to increase the share of the sharecroppers from one half to the two-third of the crop. Which of the above statements are correct? The correct option is B, that is 2 only. What is the justification is that that is why the statement 1 is not correct is that because the central slogan Nich Kamare Dan Talo, that is the sharecroppers taking the paddy to their own threshing floor and not to the Jotida's house. In the first option, it was led by the that is so as to enforce Debaga. The storm center of the movement was North Bengal. It is principally among Rajbanshis, a low caste of tribal origin. So Muslims were participated in the large numbers. So Rajbanshis were participated, and not sharecroppers, that is Muslim people. Okay. Then the low caste of tribal origin, the movement dissipated soon after. So the statement one is not correct. Not it is not led by that is sharecroppers. That is it was against the sharecroppers. Okay. Then now September 1946, the Bengal Provincial Kisan Sabha gave a call to implement for the mass struggle the Flood Commission. That is the recommendations of Tebaga. That is two-thirds shares to the Bargardas and the sharecroppers instead of the one half share. So this is correct. It was a recommendation from Flood Commission. So option 2 is correct. Correct the following statements regarding Portuguese rule in India. Their presence in India was the longest among all the colonial powers in India. Whenever you see the all and or, you have to be very cautious about these words. Okay. Then the first factory by the Portuguese in India was set up in Calicut. The city of Bombay was gifted to the British by the Portuguese as a part of the dowry gift. Which of the following above statements are correct? That is all the above. Because Portuguese was the one who left at last in 1960. First to enter and last to leave. Okay, so the Portuguese Vasco da Gama was the first Europeans to arrive in India in 1498 with three ships. Abdul Majid with a Gujarat pilot named Abdul Majid. Okay, so they left in 1961, hence statement one is correct. Then statement two is that is yes, the first factory was set up in Calicut. The city of Bombay was gifted to the British by the that is Portuguese as a part of dowry gift, that is Charles II. So therefore, all the above statements are the correct. Initially, they possess very strong naval power to resist against the British. But later on, British were becoming the powerful and they outstepped the Portuguese, and they were remain near trade centers in India till 1961. And at last, in 1961, they all left the Portuguese rule was ended, and the territories were captured by the Indian government. Yes, the first factory in Calicut. Then in 1961 in Bombay changed his hands and was presented to that is King Charles to they will present. Yes, when he married Catherine de Braganza of Bengal. Sorry, Portugal. The next question, consider the following statements. The Portuguese provided cartas to the ships carrying commodities. Dutch first factories was established at Phuket. The English ambassador Captain Hawkins arrived at the Jahangir's port. Which of the following statements are correct? Is option that is C, because the first option is correct because Portuguese provided cartas to the ships that is carrying commodities. That is the first factory was established at Masulipatnam and not in Puliket. When you know this answer that is was first established in that is Masulipatnam, you can eliminate A, B, and D. You will end up with option C. Okay. Then the English ambassador Captain Hawkins arrived at the Jahangir's court and got permission to trade. And got permission to trade by arrival of Sir Thomas Roe. He will come after the Captain Hawkins. Okay. Yes, first factory at Masulipatnam in 1605, followed by Puliket and Surat, Bimlipatnam and Chinzura. The next question is that is the first Anglo-Burmese war is concluded by the popular known as Treaty of Burma, Damu, Bamu, and Yandabo. Yes, that is the Treaty of it is Yandabo. That is it takes place in the period of 1824 to 1826. That is British will attack the Burma by the both land and sea route. Okay, they will capture the capital of Burmese, that is Arakan Pegu area. Okay, this was the result of the first Burmese War, that is Treaty of Yandabo, that is signed by Campbell from the British side and governor of that is Legiang Maha in Sa Q Hitin from the Burmese side on 1826. So the British paid 250,000 pounds sterling in gold and silver bullion as a first installment of the indemnity, and also released British prisoners of war. Okay, so the first war result in the success of British. Next question. Consider the following pairs. That is Governor Generals. That is Baron Hastings, the Second Treaty of Benares, Lord Cornwallis, Battle of Karta, then Lord Hastings, that is Raitwari system in Madras. Which of the following pairs are correctly matched? The answer is B. That is 1 and 3 were correctly matched because it is not in Lord Cornwallis. The Battle of Karta will take place. It takes place during the John Shore. Yes, because the first pair is correctly matched, that is Treaty of Banaras with Awadh ruler Shujauddaulah. Okay, it takes place during the Hastings period. Then the second pair is incorrectly matched because it takes place during John Shore. He followed the policy of non-intervention. Then the third pair is also correctly matched because the rights had a direct connection with the British, no option for intermediates, and the Raitwari system, the behind the backbone, behind the Raitwari system is Halt Mackenzie. The next question is the Thomsonian system of northwestern provinces is related to education, health, famine, diarchy. The option is education. Yes, the Thomsonian system of related is related to vernacular education in northwest frontier provinces. So this there is by 1853 he also established a system of 897 locally supported elementary schools to support the that is local people education for their childrens. Then the purpose was also train the newly set up revenue and public works department. So this was the Thomsonian system of northwestern provinces related to education. Then the next question is with regard to Anglist Orientalist controversy, which of the following statements are incorrect? The sanctioned amount of 1 lakh rupees annually by the company under the Charter Act 1833 could not be spent due to the issue over the direction that this expenditures should take. Rajaram Mohan Rai was an Orientalist. Lord Macaulay, the law member, passed passed a resolution and gave his verdict in favor of Anglicans. So that is which is the correct answer is that is option D. All the statements are incorrect because in 1813 Charter Act only they will sanction the 1 lakh rupees. Okay, so that is wrong. Then this amount was not utilized fully. Just for the namesake, they will sanction the amount. Then the statement 2 is incorrect because Rajaram Mohan Rai advocated for the study of Western education. He was not an Orientalist. Okay, well, so he is supported by Anglicist. Then statement 3 is incorrect because he gave his verdict in the favor of Anglicist, and the Lord Macaulay was the law member of the time. He wrote his famous minute in favor of English education. The Orientalists objected by, but William Bentinck passed a resolution in favor of an Anglicist who wanted English to be taught. Okay, who wanted English to be taught throughout the country. So the statement 3 is incorrect. The next option, which of the following are not the recommendations of the Woods Dispatch? So it recommended a system of granting aid to encourage private enterprise in the field of education. It recommended the existing board of control for education be abolished. It put importance on vocal education. It laid down that education imparted in government institutions should be secular. Here the question was not their recommendations. So not the recommendations of Woods Dispatch, but the option is none. Select the correct answer is option is none because these were the recommendations of Wood's dispatch. Actually, these were the recommendations of Wood's dispatch. And the question is not the recommendations of Wood's dispatch. So the option is none. He was the one who stressed and given importance to the vocational and vernacular education in the primary stage of education. And we slowly and steadily we will move on to the that is English educational training at their highest stage. Okay, so this Wood's dispatch was also known as Magna Carta of India. Yes, we will move on to the next question. Match the following pairs of freedom fighters with their associated, that is books. Okay, so freedom fighters and their newspapers books. So this is absolutely a factual question. So the option is that is for Sarojini Naidu. That is option is B. Yes, the Sarojini Naidu will the author of Feather of Dawn and Brahmesh Chandra, that is History of Civilization of India, and Muhammad Ali Jinnah wrote the Dawn, Motilal Nehru wrote the Independence. Okay, this is a factual question. That is Sarojini Naidu is also known as Nightingale of India. She presided the Indian National Congress in 1925, that is Calcutta. That is first Indian woman. The first woman to preside the Indian National Congress was Annie Besant. So she authored like that is a golden threshold, feather of the dawn, bird of time, and the broken wing. Ramachandra Dutt, he wrote the book regarding the drain of wealth of our India, that is the economic history of British India and India in the Victorian age. He also wrote that is history of civilization in ancient India. Then Muhammad Ali Jinnah. So Jinnah wrote many books like Nation's Voice, Dawn. Then Motilal Nehru was a very successful barrister. And he also that is wrote the book that is the Independent. Was an Allahabad-based newspaper began by that is Motilal Nehru, and he wrote many that is opinions and spreading awareness through this newspaper. Yes. So for this answer, option B is the correct answer. These were the sorry, the Dawn, Feather of Civilization, and History of Civilization were the books. The Independent was the newspaper. Which of the following is correct with respect to Pindaris? Yes, I've already seen about Pindaris in Anglo-Maratha War, that is Third Anglo-Maratha War. They comprised of different tribes who fought together for the purpose of plunder. They came into existence when Mughal Emperor was breaking up. Select the correct code. The option is B. They were not of different tribes. Okay, as I already said, they were attached to foragers attached to Muslims army. Okay, they were that is their work was to plunder. For that, they will receive the amount from the king. So the Pindaris were followed the Maratha bands who raided the Mughal territory. They were the part of Marathas. So the statement two is sorry, statement one is not correct. Then statement two is with the collapse of the Mughal Empire in the 18th century, these camp followers organized themselves into groups, usually each usually attached to the one leading Maratha chiefs. That is, when Mughal emperors were breaking up, they were organized into groups and they rose revolt against the that is British and Mughals. Okay, so the option is two, 1B. Which of the following statements are incorrect about the European traders during the Mughal Empire? So, Sir Thomas Roe earned a farming from the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan. The Dutch established themselves at Masulipatam after earning the farmer from the ruler of Golconda. Select the correct answer from the code. The correct option is option A because Sir Thomas Roe earned a farming from the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan. Later, Farrukhsiyar, that is in 1717, issued royal firmans of free trade. So the incorrect option is option 111B. Thus, Dutches established themselves at Masulipatam after earning from the ruler of Golconda is the correct answer. Yes, in 1906 they have receiving the foreman. English were set up as the first factory at Surat in 1612. Consider the following pairs about authors and their works, that is Henry Salt, that is Plea for Vegetarianism, Edward Carpenter's Civilization It Causing Cure, Emerson and The Kingdom of God is Within You, and Tolstoy Unto This Last. Which of the following pairs were correctly matched? Yes, it is 1 and 2, because these two were interchanged. That is not interchanged. That is Tolstoy wrote The Kingdom of God is Within You. Until This Last was written by John Ruskin. So this was the correct answer. The first two were correctly matched. With reference to the Munda rebellion, which of the following statements are correct? The rebellion of the Munda tribesmen led by Birsa Munda was known as Uligulan. It was initially a religious movement but later acquired an agrarian and political overtone. The rebellion was significantly non-violent. Select the correct answer. So answer is B, that is 1 and 2. It is a violent in nature. So there is a cult providing during this rebellion, because Birsa Munda assumed himself as Messiah, that is messenger from God. So that was the reason he started forming a good number of people as a group and started revolting against the that is British. So he declared that there was going to be a fight within the coast, that is the ground would be as red as the red flag with their blood. So it is a violent thing and not a non-violent one. Okay, so yes, it was it is an Uligulan rebellion, Munda tribesmen led by Birsa Munda. Then that is for why they were fighting against the British was that against the that is system of common land holdings by the intrusion of Jahirdar and Tikadas, that is revenue farmers. That is the common land holdings will be called as Kunkuti system. Kunkuti. So he was organizing, that is rallies and mobilizing followers on religious and political grounds. So the hence option 1 and 2 are correct and third is the incorrect one. Then next question, consider the following statements regarding the Kukka movement. It marked the first major reaction of the people in Bengal to the new political order initiated by the British after 1849. It was the most important phase of Namdari movement. Ram Singh was associated with this movement. Which of the following statements are correct? That is option 2, 1, 3, because the Kukka movement was first major reaction in Punjab and not in Bengal. If you know that it was happening in Punjab, it's a simple factual question. You will eliminate, that is 1, 1, 1. Easily you will end up with answer 2, 1. This new political order initiated by the British. Yes, it is a part of Namdari movement that is aimed at throwing off the overthrow of the British rule. So Ram Singh became the leader in 1863. The clash between Kukas and occurred over the question of the main reason is the slaughter of cows. Okay, then and at last culminated in 1870. Then the final result is that is Ram Singh was deported to Rangoon. The next question is, that is rebellion uprising. Sannyasi rebellion, this Bengal, Shuar uprising Rajasthan, Kichur Punjab, Bill uprising Maharashtra. So which is correctly matched? The option is D. 1 and 4 were correctly matched. 2 and 3 were given. They have given the wrong places because displaced maximum that is rebellion, that is peasants uprising, is that because of British intervention and that is Zamindari's revenue land reforms policies. So the displaced peasants led by religious monks and Zamindars for the first two uprisings, Sannyasi rebellion, that was already we seen in that is Bankim Chandra Chatterjee novels Anand Path. Then followed by its was followed by Chuar uprising, that is it was happening in that is Bengal and Bihar. It was given here Rajasthan. It was happening in Bengal and Bihar. And then from 1795 to 1816. Then in South India, that is Raja of Vijayanagaram was revolted in 1764. Then Polikar revolt will happen. Then Diwan Verithambi revolt were the some of the prevailing revolts taking around all over the India. So the Kittur uprising was led by Chinnava in 1824. So the present states of Western UP, Bihar and arms were takes place in 1824. So it was not taking in Punjab. The next question is, consider the following statements. Warren Hastings encouraged the study of Sanskrit for the upliftment of language. Charles Wilkins published the translation of Bhagavad Gita. Sir William Jones produced his famous version of Code of Manu. Which of the following statements are correct? The option is B, because the first option, it was not for the upliftment of language, it for the utilitarian reasons. And the Sanskrit college at the time was started by Jonathan Duncan. And Hastings supported that not for the upliftment of the language, for the utilitarian purposes, because people at the time were speaking the Sanskrit language. It's a prevailing language over the overall in the overall India. So then it is that is a absolute fact. This Charles Wilkins published a translation of Bhagavad Gita. Then Sir William Jones produced the famous version of Code of Manu. The 33rd question is, the consider the following statements regarding the Widows Remarriage Act 1856. In Bengal, the reform achieved imminent success. Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar was the main activist behind this act. Which of the following given statements are correct? The correct option is B. Because the statement 1 is incorrect. In Bengal, they have not received any successes. Later, during 1890s in Western India, that is Karve, because of Karve to Madras, taken up to Madras presidency, and Pantalu, because of these two people, it was achieving, it has achieved a success, major success. Statement 2 is correct. That is, provided legal safeguards against the loss of certain forms of inheritance for remarrying the Hindu widow, and through under this act, the widow forsook any inheritance due from her deceased husband. So, backbone behind this, that is Widows Remarriage Act, was Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. Hence, option 2 is correct. Answer. Question is 34. That is the consider the following statements about the subsidiary alliance system. Any Indian ruler who entered into subsidiary alliance had to maintain a contingent of British troops in his territory under his own command. The Hyderabad was the first state which was brought in the subsidiary alliance system. Which of the following statements are correct? Option is B. Because yes, why the statement 1 is incorrect is, that is, the Indian ruler has to maintain that is subsidiary alliance under the British command, not in his own command. Okay, under it's commanded by the British officers. So the Indian state is called protectorate state, and the British hereafter there was refers to the paramount power. Okay, so then the Hyderabad was first state to be that is brought under the that is subsidiary system in 1798. So it was a temporary measure. The new treaty was at last concluded in 1800s, by which the Nizam ceded large territories to the company, and this constitutes the famous ceded districts. So the option is B. The next question is, with reference to British administration, consider the following statements. The government under Viceroy John Lawrence had appointed the George Campbell Commission. Its purpose was to suggest reforms for higher education system in British India. So which of the following statements is incorrect? The option is B. Because it is for the purposes, not for the higher education system, it is for the studying about the famine. Famine was the main reason. So there is 1866, the Great Famine struck in main parts of the country. Its impact was felt in Odisha. So the under Viceroy John Lawrence appointed George Campbell Commission to investigate the causes of famine. So this government held that government system responsible for creating the famines like conditions and suggested that the government during the famine times must organize their relief measures. So the statement 1 is correct and statement 2 is incorrect. The next question is, which of the following policy changes were brought into effect by British government after 1857 revolt in India? The status of many princely states was reduced to Jagirdaris. The title of Viceroy was now given to the British Governor of General of Madras, who acted as a representative of the monarch. Indian soldiers were excluded from the artillery and arsenals. Select the correct. That is option is answer is C, because statement 1 is incorrect. That is, many Jagirdaris were raised to the status of princely states and not princely states were reduced to the status of Jagirdaris. Then why the statement 2 is incorrect is that because British Governor General of India has received the title of Viceroy and not Madras. Okay, he is the direct representative of the crown. The statement 3 is correct because they are after 1857 they brought changes in administrative and political aspect. That is, they brought the divide and rule policy. So Indian soldiers was excluded from the artillery and arsenals, and number of European soldiers have increased. So the statement that is 3 is only correct and other 2 is not correct. So next question, that is the Pitt India Act 1784 set up board of control in Britain through which the British government could fully control the company's affairs in India. Which of the following affairs were targeted by, that is Pitt India Act 1784, that is civil, military, revenue? Which of the following answers is correct? It is all the above, because the Board of Control will take care of civil, military, and revenue. East India, that is government, British government will take care of commercial affairs. Yes, we will set up a board of control, civil, revenue, and affairs. Then company will, however, continue to have the monopoly of trade and right to appoint and dismiss its own officials. And in this act, the first time the British called that is British called their captured territories as British possessions in India. Okay, the territories which were captured by the British were called first time as the British possessions in India. The next question is, the first major revolt, Sannyas revolt, broke out soon after the British conquest of Bengal. Which of the following are not correct in context of Sannyasi revolt? The revolt spread to many parts of Western India. Most of the rebels in Sannyasi revolt were artisans. The British was able to suppress the revolt very easily within few months. Okay, the correct option is, that is D. That is not correct, because it spread to the eastern India. Because that is Bengal lies on the eastern part of India, so it spread to, that is Odisha, Bihar, Chhattisgarh. Most of the rebels in Sannyasi revolt were peasants. So that not within few months, they took very long time to suppress. Yes, it's many parts in eastern India. Then eastern India, then peasants took almost 30 years. Yes, 30 years to put an end to the revolt. This was the Sannyasi rebellion. Then 39th question, after the Santhal uprising subsided, what were the measures taken by the colonial government? The territory is called Santhal Parganas were created. It became illegal for a Santhal to transfer land to a non-Santhal. So select the correct answer. Was the option is C, because due to the immense forcing of the uprising, more cautious about the needs of the tribals, that is British government and interpret areas. So they were, for their administrative convenience, they were dividing this unit, that is the Santal Parganas. Then which recognize the distinctiveness of a tribal culture and identity. As also it led the British government to enact laws so that the land of tribals could not be taken out by the outsiders. So they also enacting the act, that is they will pass the some kind of Santal Pargana Tenancy Act. They will pass and they will suppress the rebellion. The last question is, with reference to education institutions during the ruling India, consider the following pairs. That is Sanskrit College, William Jones at Banaras, Calcutta Madrasa at Warren Hastings, then Fort William Arthur Wellesley. Which of the following pairs are correct? The option is B, because Sanskrit College was started by Jonathan Duncan, and this is not William Arthur. It is that is Richard Colley Wellesley, not Arthur Wellesley. It is Richard Colley Wellesley. Took the first step for training of civil servants, so he found the Fort William College. Okay, that is civil servants have the company was to receive training in literature, science, and languages of India for their easy and easily to communicate with the that is communicate to the that is Indian people. They started training the that is so that is not Arthur Wellesley, it is Richard Colley Wellesley. So the first step is that for training of civil servants, so that he found the Fort William College in Calcutta. So where the civil servants of the company were to receive training in literature, science, and language and of India to easily that is communicating to the that is Indian people through these servants. Okay, then Baron Hastings himself set an intellectual, that is set up the Calcutta Madrasa, that is for the study of Persian and Arabic language. So Jonathan Duncan is the one who found the British Sanskrit College, and it was opened at Banaras. Okay, so the option is B. This is the correct answer.
So hello guys, in this video we'll be looking at the explanation for question number 41 to question number 80, that is number 2 of the test series. Okay, so the first question, which are the following are the aims behind setting up of World Trade Organization? Promotion of free trade and resource flow across countries, protection of intellectual property rights, managing balanced trade between different countries, promotion of trade between the former East Bloc countries and the Western world. Select the correct answers. So the answer is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So all the given above options are correct. Why? Because the aim behind setting up of WTO are promotion of free trade and resource flow across countries, protection of intellectual property rights, managing balanced trade between different countries, promotion of trade between the former East Bloc countries and the Western world to ensure optimum use of world resources. Okay, so members of the GATT, that is General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs, signed an agreement of Uruguay around in 1994 for establishing WTO, which was officially constituted on 1st January 1995. So moving on to the next question. Havana transactions relate to payments received in rupees against overseas currencies and vice versa without going through the official channels. This is the correct answer. Receipt for sale and transfer shares without going through established stock exchanges? No. Cedars commission? No. Made to political parties for election expenses? No. Okay. Well, because Havana transactions related to payments received in rupees against overseas currencies and vice versa without going through the official channels of transactions. Is that fine? Yes. So next question. Consider the following statements. The price of any currency in international market is decided by the World Bank, demand for goods and services provided by the concerned country, stability of the government of the concerned country, economic potential of the country in the question of these statements? Select from the quotes given below. So the answer is 2 and 3. That is, demand for goods and services provided by the concerned country, stability of the government of the concerned country. So now let us look why is it so. The price of any currency in international market is determined by the demand for goods and services provided by the country and stability of the government of the concerned country. Okay, so even the World Bank, is a vital source of financial and technical assistance to developing countries around the world. It has no relation with the price of any currency in the international market. Okay, so the price of any currency is determined by like the price of any other commodity, that is by forces of demand and supply. Okay, so demand for a currency is created by two factors. The one is its export, right? That what other countries who want to buy, or the investment. There's people who want to make in that currency. Okay, so one is exports and another one is investments. Stability is an important factor as unstable government may hamper trade and investments. Why is stability important? Because an unstable government may hamper the trade and investment, that is exports and investment of a country. Okay, so moving on to the next question. Banks are required to maintain a certain ratio between the cash in hand and total assets. This is called SBR, SLR, CLR, CBR. The answer is SLR, statutory liquidity ratio. The statutory liquidity ratio, SLR, is the ratio fixed by the RBI. The bank has to maintain between their cash in hand and total assets. It may be kept in the form of cash, gold, government securities. SLR is fixed by the RBI through its monetary policy. Okay, is that fine? That was a very easy question. Consider the following statements regarding laws of demand and supply. The law of demand says that at higher prices, buyers will demand less of an economic good. Producers supply more at a high price because the higher selling price justifies the higher opportunity cost of each additional unit sold. Which of the statement given above is are correct? So both the statements are correct. Okay. Statement 1 is correct. Why? The law of demand states that if all other factors remain equal, the higher the price of a good, the less people will demand that good. In other words, the higher the price, the lower the quantity of demanded. Okay, this is more than law of demand. This is just a common sense. The amount of good that buyers purchase at higher price is less because as the price of a good goes up, so does the opportunity cost of buying that good. Statement 2 is also correct. Why? Because the law of supply says that at higher prices, sellers will supply more of an economic good. Okay, from the seller's perspective, the opportunity cost of each additional unit what they sell tends to be higher and higher. Producers supply more at a higher price because the higher selling price justifies the higher opportunity cost of each additional unit sold. Okay. Next question. Which of the following institution publishes financial stability report in India? So answer is this is Bank of India. It's a direct question. The financial stability report published by the Bank of India after approved by Financial Stability Development Council subcommittee since its inception, taking inputs from financial sector regulators that is RBI, SEBI, PFRDA, IRDAI, including Ministry of Finance, a periodic exercise for reviewing the nature, magnitude, and implications of risk that may have bearing on the macroeconomic environment, financial institutions, markets, and infrastructure. Okay. The term invisible hand in economics is related to which of the following? Free market system, command market system, socialist market system, both B and C. So the answer is free market system. So, invisible hand. Scottish Enlightenment thinker Adam Smith introduced the concept invisible hand in several of his writings, but it found this economic interpretation in his book An Inquiry into the Nature and Causes of Wealth of Nations, published in 1776. Okay, so the invisible hand is a part of laissez-faire, meaning let go approach to the market, otherwise called as free market system. In other words, the approach holds that market will find its equilibrium without government or other interventions forcing it into unnatural patterns. Okay. The invisible hand is a metaphor for the unseen forces that move the free market economy. Through individual self-interest and freedom of production as well as consumption, the best interests of society as a whole are fulfilled. The constant interplay of individual pressures on market supply and demand causes the natural movement of prices and of trade. Okay, is that clear? If you want, you can pause this video and take a screenshot if you like it. Okay, next question. Which of the following statement correctly defines the core inflation? Okay, so this is a very easy question. If you read the newspaper properly, you could have attended it. But what we do is we just skip it. We just scan the newspaper and just move on to the next topic. We don't really give importance to each and every word given in the newspaper. So, an inflation measure excluding volatile transitory price changes, an inflation measure of short-term price changes in the core sector industries, inflation in the fuel and food account commodities. So, an average guy, an layman would have choose the C option, price change in the core sector industries. But the correct answer is an inflation measure excluding volatile and transitory price changes. So let us look at it in detail. Core inflation is a measure of inflation which excludes certain volatile and seasonal prices. Okay, is the trend increase of the cost of factors of production and that originates in the long-term expectations of inflation. It excludes transitory or temporary price volatility, as in the case of some commodities such as food and fuel. If temporary price shocks are taken into account, they may affect the estimated overall inflation numbers in such a way that they are different from actual inflation. To eliminate this possibility, core inflation is calculated to cause the actual inflation apart from temporary shocks and volatility. Okay, so moving on to the next question. Consider the following statements. Real GDP measures an economy's total goods and services in the given year, taking into account changes in price level. Real GDP can never be more than the nominal GDP. So obviously the correct answer is only one. Why? Because statement 1 is correct because the real GDP measures an economy's total goods and services in a given year, taking into account changes in price levels. It allows GDP comparison year by year because it takes into account inflation. Statement 2 is incorrect. Why? Because nominal GDP is also referred to as the current prices GDP. Okay, so real GDP takes into consideration adjustments for changes in inflation. This means that if inflation is positive, real GDP will be lower than nominal and vice versa. Okay, fine. So next question. The monetary policy of Reserve Bank of India targets which of the following inflation index? Consumer Price Index Rural, Consumer Price Index Combined, Wholesale Price Index, Consumer Food Price Index. The answer is Consumer Price Index Combined. As per the RBI Act 1934 amended in 2016, the central government shall, in consultation with the bank, determine the inflation target in terms of Consumer Price Index once in every 5 years. Accordingly, the central government has notified 4% Consumer Price Index inflation as the target for the period from August 5, 2016 to March 31, 2021, with the upper tolerance limit of 6% and the lower tolerance limit of 2%. Okay. Moving on to the next question. Consider the following statements regarding the open market operations. These are the market operations conducted by the RBI by way of sale or purchase of government securities to or from the market. RBI resorts to sale of securities if there is excess liquidity in the market. Which of the following given above is or are correct? Both one and two. So both the statements are correct. Why? Open market operations are the market operations conducted by the RBI by way of sale or purchase of government securities to or from the market with an objective to adjust the rupee liquidity conditions in the market on a durable basis. Okay, so when the RBI feels that there is excess liquidity in the market, it resorts to sale of securities, thereby sucking out the rupee liquidity. Similarly, when the liquidity conditions are tight, RBI may buy securities from the market, thereby releasing liquidity into the market. So that's it. Next question. Which of the following are instruments of monetary policy of Reserve Bank of India? So it's a very direct question. Repo rate, MSF, OMOs, bank rate. So that is the correct answer using the code given above. So the answer is all the above. So let us look at in detail. There are several direct and indirect instruments that are used for implementing monetary policy. Repo rate, the fixed interest rate at which the Reserve Bank provides overnight liquidity to banks against the collateral of government and other approved securities under the liquidity adjustment facility. What is reverse repo rate? The fixed interest rate at which the Reserve Bank absorbs liquidity on an overnight basis from banks against collateral of eligible government securities under the LAF, liquidity adjustment facility. Marginal standing facility, MSF, a facility under which scheduled commercial banks can borrow additional amount of overnight money from the Reserve Bank by dipping into the statutory liquidity ratio portfolio up to a limit at a penal rate of interest. This provides a safety valve against unanticipated liquidity shocks to the banking system. Okay. So what is bank rate? It is the rate at which the Reserve Bank is ready to buy or rediscount bills of exchange or other commercial papers. The bank rate is published under Section 49 of the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934. This rate has been aligned to MSF rate and therefore changes automatically as soon as MSF rate changes alongside policy repo rate changes. So other than this, what else do we have? Cash reserve ratio. The average daily balance that bank is required to maintain with the Reserve Bank as a share of such percent of its net demand and time liabilities that the Reserve Bank may notify from time to time in the Gazette of India. Okay, so what is SLR, statutory liquidity ratio? The share of net demand and time liabilities that bank is required to maintain in safe and liquid assets that it is required to maintain with itself. Unencumbered government securities, cash and gold, changes in SLR often influence the availability of resources in the banking system for lending to the private sector. So if there is availability of resources in the banking system, it is for the lending to the private sector. Open market operations. These include both outright purchase and sale of government securities for injection and absorption of durable liquidity, respectively. Market stabilization scheme. This instrument for monetary management was introduced in 2004. Surplus liquidity of a more enduring nature arising from large capital inflows is observed through sale of short-dated government securities and treasury bills. The cash so mobilized is held in a separate government account with the Reserve Bank of India. So moving on to the next question. Consider the following statements regarding the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. The code applies to companies as well as individuals. Insolvency professionals administer the resolution process and manage the assets of the debtor. The Insolvency Bankruptcy Board of India is the regulator over insolvency professionals, insolvency professional agencies, and information utilities. Which of the following statements given above is or are correct? So all the given statements are correct. Why is statement 1 correct? The Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016 applies to companies and individuals. The proceedings of resolution process are adjudicated by the National Companies Law Tribunal (NCLT) for companies and the Debt Recovery Tribunal for individuals. So please remember this. Statement 2 is also correct. Insolvency professionals are a specialized cadre of licensed professionals. These professionals administer the resolution process, manage the assets of the debtor, and provide information for creditors to assist them in decision making. Statement 3 is correct. Why? Because the Insolvency Bankruptcy Board of India was established under the Insolvency Bankruptcy Code 2016. It is a regulatory oversight over the insolvency professionals, insolvency professional agencies, insolvency professional entities, and information utilities. Okay, so next question. What is the mandate of KV Kamath Committee formed by the Reserve Bank of India? Financial parameters for rejection of notes. As simple as such. Consider the following statements regarding the National Payments Corporation of India. It is an initiative of Reserve Bank of India and Indian Bank Association. RuPay card payment scheme was launched by NPCI. So both statements are correct. Statement 1. National Payment Corporation of India (NPCI), an umbrella organization for operating retail payments and settlement system in India, is an initiative of Reserve Bank of India and Indian Bank Association under the provisions of Payment and Settlement Systems Act 2007 for creating a robust payment and settlement infrastructure in India. Okay. The 10 crore promoter bank are State Bank of India, Punjab National Bank, Canara Bank, Bank of Baroda, Union Bank of India, Bank of India, ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, Citibank, HSBC. In 2016, the shareholding was broad-based to 56 member banks to include more banks representing all sectors. Statement 2 is correct. Why? Because RuPay, a new card payment scheme, was launched by the National Payment Corporation of India. It offers a domestic, open-loop, multilateral system which will allow all Indian banks and financial institutions in India to participate in electronic payments. Moving on to the next question, consider the following statements regarding the priority sector lending based laws of RBI. So we have discussed this in detail in our class. The small finance banks are required to extend 75% of their registered net bank credit to priority sector. The housing and renewable energy sector are included in priority sector under PSL norms. So both the statements are correct. Explanation: the small finance banks are required to extend 75% of their adjusted net bank credit to sectors eligible for classification as priority sector lending. Target for domestic scheduled commercial banks, excluding regional rural banks and small finance banks, and foreign banks with 20 branches and above is 40% of adjusted net bank credit and or credit equivalent amount of balance sheet exposure, whichever is higher. Statement 2 is correct. The categories under priority sector are agriculture, micro, small and medium enterprises, MSMEs, export credit, education, housing, social infrastructure, renewable energy, and others. What is the mandate of the recently constituted Rajiv Maharishi Committee? The answer is economic impact of interest waivers under COVID-19 related loan moratorium. The government has recently set up an expert committee headed by former Controller and Auditor General CAG Rajiv Maharishi to assess the impact of waiving of interest and waiving of interest on the COVID-19 related moratorium. So on the economy and financial stability. Reserve Bank of India had in March this year allowed banks to offer a 3-month moratorium on principal and interest payment beginning March 1 to provide relief to borrowers hit by COVID-19 pandemic. This was later extended by another 3 months to August 31. Okay. Consider the following statements. Currency revaluation refers to the increase in value of one currency related to another based on supply and demand in the forex market. The currency appreciation is calculated upward adjustment to a country's official exchange rate by a central bank. So both the statements are correct. The definition of appreciation and devaluation have interchanged. Currency appreciation refers to the increase in the value of one currency related to another in the forex market. In a floating rate exchange system, the value of a currency constantly changes based on supply and demand in the forex market. A revaluation is calculated upward adjustment to a country's official exchange rate relative to a chosen baseline, such as wages rate, price of gold, foreign currency. In a fixed exchange rate regime, only decision by a country's government, such as its central bank, can alter the official value of the currency. Is that clear? Okay. Which of the following are the potential impact of sale of government securities by the Reserve Bank of India? Increase in liquidity in the market, increase in interest rate. So the correct answer is only 2. Why option 2 is incorrect. When the RBI feels that there is excess liquidity in the market, it resorts to sale of securities, thereby sucking out rupee liquidity. Similarly, when the liquidity conditions are tight, RBI may buy securities from the market, thereby releasing liquidity into the market. Okay, so option 2 is correct. When the RBI pursues a tight monetary policy, it takes money out of the system by selling government securities. This raises interest rate because the demand for credit is high. That lenders price their loans higher to take advantage of the demand. The purchase of securities by RBI, on the other hand, has potential to lower the lending rates in the economy as it increases the money supply. Okay. Next question. Consider the following statements regarding prompt corrective action (PCA) framework. The capital to risk weighted asset ratio (CRAR), net non-performing asset (NPA), and return on assets (ROA) are the trigger points for the banks to put under PCA. It is not applicable to cooperative banks and non-banking financial companies. Which of the statements given above are correct? So both statements are correct. Prompt corrective action or PCA is the framework under which banks with weak financial metrics are put under the watch by RBI. So what are these metrics? The Reserve Bank has specified certain regulatory trigger points, a part of prompt corrective action framework. In terms of 3 parameters, that is capital to risk weighted asset ratio (CRAR), net non-performing asset, and return on assets, for initiation of certain structured and discretionary actions in respect of banks hitting such trigger points. Statement is also correct. The PCA framework is applicable only to commercial banks and not extended to cooperative banks, nor NBFCs and financial market infrastructures. So next question. The Committee on Financial Sector Reforms was headed by whom? Raghuram Rajan. The Gram Rajat Committee on Financial Sector Reforms is a committee constituted by the Government of India in 2007 for proposing the next generation of financial sector reforms in India. An internal working group of the Reserve Bank of India has recently recommended that corporate houses be given bank licenses. The Reserve Rajat Committee had said that it is premature to allow industrial houses to own banks. India's forex reserve comprises of which are the following assets: foreign currency assets, gold, special drawing rights. So the correct answers will be all the above. So India's forex reserves comprise foreign currency assets, gold reserves, SDR, and India's reserve position with the International Monetary Fund, that is SDR. The country's foreign exchange reserves rose to a huge lifetime high of rupees of $542 billion in the week end September. Okay, which of the following are dominant policy objectives of forex reserves? Maintaining confidence in monetary and exchange rate policies, reduce external vulnerability by maintaining foreign currency liquidity to observe shocks during the times of crisis. Select the correct answer using the code given below. So both 1 and 2 are correct. Major policy objectives in regard to forex reserves: maintaining confidence in monetary and exchange policies, enhancing capacity to intervene in the forex market, limiting external vulnerability by maintaining foreign currency liquidity to observe shocks during times of crisis, including natural disasters or emergencies, providing confidence to the market, especially credit rating agencies, that external obligations can always be met, thus reducing the overall cost at which forex resources are available to all market participants, and incidentally adding to the comfort of the market participants by demonstrating the backing of domestic currency by external assets. Consider the following statements regarding the National Payment Corporation of India. It was created under the provision of Payment and Settlement System Act 2007. It has been incorporated as a not-for-profit organization under the provision of Societies Registration Act 1860. So only one is correct. National Payment Corporation of India, an umbrella organization for operating retail payment and settlement system in India, is an initiative of RBI and IBI under the provisions of the Payment Settlement System Act 2007 for creating a robust payment settlement infrastructure in India. Okay. Considering the utility nature of objects of NPCI, has been incorporated as a not-for-profit company under the provisions of Section 25 of Companies Act 1956. With an intention to provide infrastructure to the entire banking system in India for physical as well as electronic payment and settlement system. The company is focused on bringing innovations in retail payment system through the use of technology for achieving greater efficiency in operations and widening the reach of payment systems. The 10 crore promoter banks are State Bank of India, Punjab National Bank, Canara Bank, Bank of Baroda, Union Bank of India, ICI, HDFC, Citibank, and HSBC. Okay. The RBI decides to adopt an expansionist monetary policy. Which of the following would it not do? Cut and optimize the statutory liquidity ratio, increase the marginal standing facility rate, cut the bank rate and repo rate. So the correct answer would be only 2. Why? Increasing the MSF will raise the loan interest rate. So if RBI pursues expansionary policy, it will not do it. So if the RBI pursues an expansionary policy, certainly it will not increase the marginal standing facility rate. Okay. So the next question, with reference to the Indian economy, consider the following statements. Commercial paper is a short-term unsecured promissory note. Certificate of deposit is a long-term instrument issued by the Reserve Bank of India to a corporation. Call money is a short-term finance used by interbank transaction. Zero coupon bonds are the interest-bearing short-term bonds issued by the scheduled commercial banks to the corporations. Which of the statements given above are correct? 1 and 3 only. Also, a zero coupon bond is a debt security instrument that does not pay interest. Zero coupon bonds trade at deep discounts, offering full face value profit at maturity. Certificate of deposit is a short-term debt instrument. Okay. Next question. The gold tranche reserve tranche refers to a credit system granted by IMF to its members. Reserve tranche is a component of a member country's quota with the IMF That is in the form of gold or foreign currency. For any member country, out of the total quota, 25% should be paid in the form of foreign currency or gold. Hence, this is called reserve tranche or gold tranche. So moving on to the next question. In India, which of the following can be considered as public investment in agriculture? Fixing minimum support price for agriculture, use of all the crops, computerization of primary agriculture credit societies, social capital development, free electricity supply of farmers, waiver of agriculture loans by the banking system, setting up of cold storage facilities by the government. Select the correct answer using the 41 below. So the correct answer would be 2, 3, and 6. That is computerization of primary agriculture societies, social capital development, and setting up of cold storage facilities by the governments. Why? Because it leads to creation of physical and financial assets. Okay, so like here now. So moving on. Which of the following factors or policies were affecting the price of rice in India in the recent past? Minimum support price, government's trading, government stockpiling, consumer subsidies. Select the correct answer using the code. The correct answer would be all the above 1, 2, 3, 4. So prima facie, all these activities will affect the price of rice in India. Price of rice in wheat remained stable since 2014 due to the adequate supply and also due to maintenance of adequate buffer stock of rice and wheat by FCI, Food Corporation of India. Sale of wheat and rice is undertaken through open market sales scheme so as to check inflationary trend in prices of grains. The National Food Security Act provides subsidized rice at rupees 3 per kg to poor families. Okay. So what does Phillips curve indicate? Direct conceptual question. Inverse relationship between inflation and unemployment. So Phillips curve is an economic concept developed by A.W. Phillips stating that inflation and unemployment have a stable inverse relationship. The theory claims that with the economic growth comes inflation. So if there is economic growth, automatically there will be inflation. In turn, should lead to more jobs and less unemployment. Lawrence curve is a graphical representation of income inequality. The Laffer curve is a theory developed by supply side economist Arthur Laffer to show the relationship between tax rates and amount of tax revenue collected by the government. So you have to remember this. So the next question, which one of the following statements appropriately describe the fiscal stimulus? It's a massive investment by the government in manufacturing sector to ensure the supply of goods to meet the demand surge caused by rapid economic growth. It's an intense affirmative action of the government to boost economic activity in the country. This country's intensive action on financial institutions to ensure disbursement of loans to agriculture allied tasks to promote greater food production and contain food inflation. It is an extreme affirmative action of the government to pursue its policy of financial inclusion. So the answer is it's an intense affirmative action of the government to boost economic activity in the country. So how does it do so? Next question. Consider the following actions which the government can take. Devaluing the domestic currency, reduction in the export subsidy, adopting suitable policies which attract greater FDI and more funds. Which of the above actions can be help in reducing the current account deficits? So to reduce the CAD, what are the measures that the government can take? So the answer is 1 and 2. So it can devalue the domestic currency, it can reduce the export subsidy. So adopting suitable policies which attract greater FDI and more funds from FA is not feasible. Okay. So next question. Which of the following can aid in furthering the government's objective of inclusive growth? Promoting self-help groups, promoting micro, small MSMEs, implementing Right to Education Act. So that answer would be 1, 2, and 3. So to aid inclusive growth, it has to promote self-help group, it has to promote MSMEs, and it has to implement the RTE. Okay. The Reserve Bank of India as the banker's bank. This will imply which of the following. So the Reserve Bank of India is also called as the banker's bank. So if it's so what does it imply? Other banks can retain the deposit to the RBI? Yes, it can. The RBI lends funds to the commercial banks in times of need? Yes, it does. The RBI advises the commercial banks on monetary matters? Yes, it advises them. The answer is 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Next question. The balance of payment of a country is a systematic record of all important transactions of during a given period, normally a year. goods exported from a country during a year, economic transaction between the government of one country to another, capital movement from one country to another. So the balance of payment, what does it mean? All important transaction of a during. So something missing here, just refer to the question paper during a given period or normally a year. Okay, so refer to this question in the question. So next question. The Reserve Bank of India regulates the commercial banks in matters of liquidity of assets, branch expansion, merger of banks, winding up of banks. So in what ways does the Reserve Bank of India regulate these commercial banks? So the answer is all the above. It does regulate commercial banks in matters of liquidity, in matters of branch expansion, relating to merger of banks and winding up of banks. Next question. Which among the following product commodities have been awarded a geographical indication tag in India? So this is purely current affairs. You have to follow newspaper regularly in order to attend these type of questions. Dazzling tea, cut shawls, Mysore silk, collaborative jackets. So the answer is all of them. Dazzling tea, cut shawls, Mysore silk, collaborative jackets. What do you understand by the term sunrise industry? It is an industry where a worker need not require as much professional training as a white collar professional. A term used for a sector that is just in its infancy but shows promise of a rapid boom. It is a specialized tertiary industry in the knowledge sector which demands a separate classification. An industry of home-based workers or a self-employed worker or a wage worker. So the answer is sunrise industry is a term used for a sector that is in infancy but shows promise of a rapid boom. Okay, the industry is typically characterized by high growth rate, high degree of innovation, and generally has plenty of public awareness about the sector. And investors get attracted to its long-term growth prospects. That is what is called a sunrise industry. Next question: which of the following correctly defines the term monopsony? A single enterprise is being supplier of a particular commodity or service. Industry being dominated by a small group of large suppliers. Industry being dominated by a small group of buyers. Single buyer substantially controlling the market. Okay, so the answer is the last one. A monopsony is a market condition in which there is only one buyer, the monopolist. It is a market structure in which a single buyer substantially controls the market. The major purchaser of goods and services offered by many would be sellers. An oligopoly is a market structure in which a few firms dominate. When a market is shared between a few firms, it is said to be highly concentrated. Monopoly contains a single firm that produces goods with no close substitute. Okay. So the last question for the day: which of the following is characteristics of a public good? Non-excludability, liable consumption, acceptable. Select the correct answer using the code given below. So it should be non-excludable. Public goods are goods that can be consumed simultaneously by a large number of people without the consumption by one imposing an opportunity cost on the others. So even if one person does not consume it, it does not have any impact on the other one. For example, a street lamp, a public road, etc. The characteristics of public goods are non-excludability, non-trivial consumption, objectable. Okay. So that's it for today. If you have any questions relating to this question, you can post it in the comments, or just you can call me directly, so you can have a chat. So thank you guys. Thank you.